session.
Welcome back to episode 22 of the 9 Degrees Podcast, the number one non-educational, education-themed podcast in the world. We may have 9 degrees among us, but we still don't know much about anything, so make sure you use your fact checker. As always, I'm your boy Jerome. We got MADDOX, we got Jackson, we got Jared back for another episode. Always remember that you can catch the audio version of this podcast on Apple, Spotify, and anywhere you can find podcasts. And announcement, we have a brand new home on YouTube. We've officially made a brand new channel for the podcast. It's www.youtube.com/@9degreespod. You can, of course, find it in the description below. And if you're listening on audio, make sure you check out the YouTube channel. Also, we've got socials everywhere at 9degreespod. So everything matches now. But anyways, let's get started with Homeroom. Class is now in session. What's up, guys? How are things going? General pleasantries? Any gripes? What's going on?
I'm sorry, Jerome, but did you just say that link with a www at the front?
I did.
What year is it? 2008?
Should I not say that?
No one says that anymore.
At least I didn't say https://www.youtube.com/@9degreespod.
That was actually quite impressive.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't roll that off.
I learned recently that saying www is more syllables than saying World Wide Web.
Yeah, I think I've seen that meme somewhere. But I have an actual gripe. Let me get into it. Uber. My gripe is with Uber. Because I was going to the airport the other day, and tell me, if you're an Uber driver, why would you accept, like, a ride when you need to go get gas? This doesn't make sense to me. This shouldn't be an option. You know what I mean? So I get in this car, and the guy's like, hey, man, I have to go get gas. And then now I'm almost late for my flight because I have to stop and get gas with this Uber driver. It's like, just don't accept the ride. Also, I don't know if this is a hot take or not. If you're a smoker, shouldn't be allowed to Uber.
Sounds like maybe the worst Uber experience I've heard of.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. I was very upset.
I gotta be honest. Even if my friend was picking me up and taking me to the airport and told me that they had to get gas, I would still consider that unacceptable. So it being from like a commercial enterprise, being like, yo, man, I just got to stop in and get a quick half tank before we head out to Dulles, I think that's unacceptable.
Insane. Just let someone else get the ride.
Would you have rather him just run out of gas?
Well, no, but I would have rather someone else have picked me up and he go get gas before he comes and picks me up.
What if the best gas station was on the route to where you were going?
To be fair, I'm not going to lie. Jared and MADDOX have both been to my apartment. There isn't a gas station literally right at the corner of my apartment complex.
Mm-hmm.
Why he didn't think to just stop there for 45 seconds and instead waited until we were on the interstate to be like, I actually have to pull over to get gas.
Would it have been acceptable if he accepted the trip, got gas while he was coming to pick you up?
From like a mental perspective, I think that's better than getting me in the car and then wasting my time afterward. Mm-hmm. At least I could have chilled in my house, you know?
Also, he got on the interstate and then was like, sorry, I got to get off the interstate real quick.
Yeah.
I know. How many miles did you get into it?
Not far, but it was like, there's that gas station right at the corner of my apartment complex.
Mm-hmm.
Past that, get like out off of the main road onto the interstate, like on the exit ramp for him to be like, oh, actually I have to go get gas. What?
So is this worse than when I took an Uber on my wedding night and the Uber driver was watching Call of Duty Twitch live streams on his phone?
No, but that also similar thing happened to me recently too. And I'm just like, these Uber drivers are like watching TikTok and stuff while driving. It's crazy.
I honestly like do not like Ubering anymore. I mean, it really depends on the quality of the driver, but it seems like it's so mixed these days that it's almost just like does it feel worth it?
I completely agree. Well, what's going on in your guys' life? Anything to gripe about? Anything to pleasantry about?
Well, I was going to say, I mean, I've got a gripe. I mean, if we're looking for gripes, my gripe is actually a very recent gripe. Mine about a topic we all probably knew about. Obviously, the Super Bowl. Right? And I know at least 3 people in this room watched the Super Bowl. And I got to be honest, my major overall gripe, not being a Philadelphia Eagles fan, not really a good game. Got to be honest. From start to finish, Yeah, it was like 34-0 at one point. Chiefs, going for the 3-peat, gave it like absolutely no effort. And then the worst part, my real gripe, so the Eagles absolutely dominated the Chiefs. Okay, whatever. Could have turned it off at like the third quarter. Nah, Chiefs start coming back a little bit. Final score doesn't even make it look like it was that bad of a game. It was 40-22. I mean, that's a bad game. But it was like 34-0. So my real gripe, it looks like it wasn't even that bad. You'll look at it in 10 years from now and be like, oh, maybe it was a close game. Eagles pulled away at the end. No, it was a horrible game. The defense absolutely killed for the Eagles. And I just wasted basically an hour and a half of my life. I didn't waste it, but it feels
hour
like
and
it.
a half, dude.
Two and a half.
5 hours. What are you talking about?
It was not 5 hours. It was like 3. I'm going up every time we say it, but it wasn't 5.
Anyway, on that note, let's roll right into first period. Jared, I'm going to hand it off to you to keep talking about the Super Bowl. My theory is, when your coach, aka of the Kansas City Chiefs, looks like a villain from a Sonic video game, you can't win. You can't win.
Well, literally not true because he's won the last 2 Super Bowls before this. So that theory got busted hella quick.
You're right. But I don't know what happened. I completely agree with you. Horrible game. I didn't think the game was worth it. I didn't think the commercials were really worth it. Like, I don't know.
Well, I will say, now that I've already said the clickbaity thing, to walk it back, the Chiefs' offense did really bad because the Eagles had a masterclass. I mean, so they brought in a new defensive coordinator this year. People who know football know Vic Fangio. I'm just going to keep on keeping on with that because I don't assume anybody's got me on this one. But the Philly, their defense was like one of the best defenses all year. They really came together as a unit. They got healthy at the right time, added a couple guys in the offseason and in the draft. Their defense was just lights out. I mean, that's the reason they won. Their offense played not to lose the game, basically, but their defense was the reason they ended up winning the game. So, I mean, it was a bad game from like a scoring perspective, but the Chiefs offense just got absolutely throttled by a superior defense. And those are tough games to watch because they're not competitive. They're not really fun because there's not a lot of touchdowns. But I mean, hats off to Philly. I hate even saying that sentence, but hats off to the Eagles. Hats off to their defense specifically, and hats off to Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith, who are 2 Alabama grads representing Alabama today.
Yeah, I didn't realize that, but good for them, I guess.
Yeah.
No, you're right. The Eagles' defense was really good. They had a couple like really impressive plays. Their interceptions. There was one specifically that I'm thinking of where he was literally diving full extension and caught the ball. Like just some incredible plays. But yeah, you're right. The score's just nah.
Yeah, we had a birthday pick six, also a white guy pick six. How often you see those in the Super Bowl? Not very often, gotta be honest.
Which one's more rare, the birthday or the white guy?
I think the birthday, actually. It was like the first time in like 40 years or something crazy like that. But yeah,
it's a pretty specific statistic. Birthday and have a pick six in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. That is true. Really whittling down the list. So yeah, I mean, I love watching the Chiefs struggle, but yeah, hats off to Philly defense. My one major complaint with that, like for real, the score like bar in the bottom was maybe the worst graphic I've ever seen in my life. Somebody got paid to make that, and it looked awful.
To be fair, we illegally streamed it, so I feel like we're not allowed to say anything.
I don't feel like we gotta like say that on a publicly recorded podcast, but
it is what it is.
We may have, yeah.
I want to pivot for a second. So, okay, game had its highlights, but score was kind of trash. What do we think about? Let's go to halftime show first. What do we think about the halftime show? Because I have thoughts. Kendrick Lamar. Let's be honest. The only reason anyone was there was for the Drake beef, right? We all wanted to watch Kendrick Lamar call Drake a sexual assailant, a groomer, live on national television. That's all anyone wanted. And I thought it was clever the way he kept he would just play like the first line of the song, like the beat, of the song, and he was just kind of teasing it. And then but I don't know. Generally I just felt like the halftime show was kind of underwhelming. I felt like he played more, this is going to be a hot take, I felt like he played deep cuts that like real fans would know and not the bangers And I'm like, it's the Super Bowl. You have 130 million people watching. Play the bangers.
Mhm.
You know, that's how I felt. But I will say, obviously, the best part, looks right into the camera and he says, "Say Drake," and then he did not say the word, unfortunately, but yeah, it was cool. I thought
Yeah.
he would. I thought he would, especially because he'd just come off the Grammy victory, and they played the song at the Grammys, and they said it. That's a live streamed event. But no, he did not say it at the Super Bowl.
See, I think it's kind of funny if I can just say really quick. You say like, oh, you thought it was like neat that he would like sneak it in real quick and then go
Yeah.
to something else. You were a little annoyed by about the third or fourth time when we were sitting there. You were a
Because that's
little
all
annoyed.
I was waiting for. It was all I was waiting for, and he knew that that's all I was waiting for. I also had a Jackson. You weren't with us, but I was wearing a Kendrick Lamar shirt that said mustard across the top because he's got that one song that he just screams mustard. And finally, when he played that song, I was like, mustard. Anyway,
Yeah, that one was good.
Do you guys have any thoughts about the halftime show? What'd you think?
Well, so I'm not a big Kendrick Lamar fan, and honestly, I would say that most people aren't really, or the average person is not, and so they probably only know that one song that you're referring to. But because of that, I feel like I kind of appreciate that he forced everyone to listen to some of his less popular stuff, and I also think that I haven't dug deep into it, but I assume that there was a lot more deeper hidden meaning into like the actual performance. And I personally think it's admirable to take the opportunity that you're given to perform at the Super Bowl to do something maybe more deep and meaningful rather than just try to entertain the masses per se. I
think that's fair. There was definitely a lot of symbolism and stuff with the Uncle Sam stuff, and I was reading things on the internet about he had those backup dancers that were essentially lined up like the American flag, and then he was in the middle of them, and at one point, the flag like split, and it was supposed to symbolize like division in the country, which I was like, okay, I can see it. Interesting. Yeah, so that is fair. That is fair.
As a casual listener, I was very underwhelmed. I mean, I caught a couple of them. I mean, again, I'm kind of like MADDOX, and I don't know, maybe it's just a you and me thing, but I am not like a huge Kendrick Lamar fan, or not even a fan. I'm just not. I don't know his music that well, and I would catch a couple of them and be like, oh, I recognize that one, and then immediately it was like, nope, don't recognize that one.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
moving on.
Right. I completely agree. Jackson, did you watch the halftime show even?
Yeah, I watched it not live, but it was very whatever. The audio, and this might be I think there's an issue with the Super Bowl in general. Like the audio quality wasn't that great, and I think Kendrick Lamar is a bit of a mumbler. So
damn,
it makes it hard to get into it.
No, actually, that's one thing that I mentioned while we were sitting here watching it. I literally was like, why can't we hear anything he's saying? Like, it's so hard to understand what he's saying. Like, even though I know these songs, if you watch the YouTube replay, like the actual video that Apple Music put out for it or the NFL put out for it, they've mixed the audio much better, so it's a lot better. But I agree, the live stream, the audio was terrible.
You tell me the mix gets made better than the live stream? That sucks. Why would anybody? Well, they've got a captive audience at that point. So
you also you have to fix the mix in post, right? Like if it messed up live, you know what I mean? Well, okay, let's switch gears one more time, but still talk about the Super Bowl. Last thing, commercials. What do we think? I feel like I was also underwhelmed by the commercials.
I don't feel like I remember a lot of them, but I don't think I was paying attention either. So that one's on me. I'm just across the board.
There was no crypto commercials. I'm pretty sure. True. Which I thought was interesting.
Not one that stands out.
I don't know if this is true always of the Super Bowl, but I noticed a lot more ads regarding I don't know there's probably a good overarching term for this, but the stop hate crime type ads and
public service announcements.
Yeah, that type of stuff. I felt like there was I noticed that there was a significant amount of those, and I don't know if that's different than usual or not, but that's just what I noted.
Yeah.
I don't have the stats in front of me, but I don't remember from watching Super Bowls in my youth there being a lot of public service announcements. I remember just being a lot of silly commercials, but that's probably what I remember
Goofy
as a
things.
kid, is the silly
Right.
commercials.
My still favorite Super Bowl commercial to date is the Doritos one from when we were kids, where it's the little kid and his mom brings home like her boyfriend or whatever, and the guy tries to like grab a thing of Doritos, and the little kid slaps him, and he goes, "Don't touch my mama, and don't touch my Doritos."
That's a good one.
Best one. But did you guys have any standout ads that you were like, "This was my favorite"? I have one.
No.
Go ahead, run right into it.
No, mine is the Post Malone Shane Gillis one, the Bud Light
That one, yeah, I think that was the best one.
And then my favorite part about it was they had like a cameo from Peyton Manning, and he was like filling up, or he was like tossing beers out of the cooler, right? And then after the commercial ended, they cut to the stadium, and inside the stadium, Peyton Manning was sitting there with this giant Bud Light cooler, like actually like filling it with beer, and I thought that was really cool, like really well done.
Yeah, that one was a good one. I liked the, like, I don't know if it was Uber Eats. I think it's maybe the one where they had all the different like well recognizable characters all like running to somebody's house, and it was like the Cheetos guy, Mr. Clean, the Kool-Aid guy, and then the puppy monkey baby from the crazy Mountain Dew ad like back in the day for Kickstart. That was a nice little callback. I will always cheer for a puppy monkey baby commercial. It's just a fever dream. That entire thing should have never existed. If drugs did not exist, Puppy Monkey Baby would also not exist. So I love to see the callbacks. Although I will say my least favorite one, just because it was annoying, was the Harrison Ford Jeep one that apparently is getting like I don't know, just
backlash.
Everybody like seemed to like it. Oh, I thought it was like, didn't you put something in the chat that was like it cost X amount of money, but
oh yeah, like $32 million to make or something. I saw a bunch of people were just mad about it because everything I saw about that commercial online was, oh, why is he even doing this commercial? Harrison Ford drives a Tesla. And I was like, do you not know how actors work? Like, actors get paid to do that. Like, he doesn't.
I thought Shaq drove a Kia.
Yeah, like, what are we talking about? Who cares when he drives?
Yeah. That one was just like, it just kept going. I was waiting for it to end, and it was like, you're just $8 million, then another $8 million, then another $8 million. And it was like, you made your point. Harrison Ford is sitting in a Jeep. You're done. It's just such a waste of money after that point.
I agree. That one was kept going. The weirdest one was the cowboy hat one, where his hat was like part of his skin, and it was attached to his head. I didn't like that one. That one made me want to throw up.
What did it remind you of, Jerome?
I can't say it out loud, but it reminded me of something that. Oh, that's right. It was a Tubi commercial.
He didn't even remember.
I didn't even remember what it was. Waste of $8 million for them.
Bad advertising.
Yeah. It just reminded me of something that needed to be snipped off, and that's all I'll say about that.
Sure.
Jackson, any notable commercials for you?
I don't know. I just remember there was a pickleball commercial. I think it was for Michelob Ultra with Willem Dafoe. I don't think it was a particularly good commercial. It had pickleball in it, and I played.
Well, that's all I had on the Super Bowl. Anyone else? Any closing thoughts?
I mean, here's to hoping the Ravens can do it next year, and inevitably watching them fail in the first or second round of the playoffs.
Good luck to the Ravens, I guess.
I'm just glad the Chiefs didn't win.
I will say, it seems as though it's written in stone that, like, thou shalt not win 3 is a law in kind of college to a certain extent, and definitely the NFL. I mean, nobody's won 3 NFL Super Bowls, period. And then in college, I think you have to go back to like pre-World War II Notre Dame to find a team that's won 3 in a row. So, I mean, Georgia kind of ran into this a couple of years ago when Michigan won the national championship. They weren't able to get 3 in a row. Alabama hadn't won 3 in a row with Nick Saban. If you go back to like Nebraska and the old school, like Notre Dame and Penn State teams, nobody wins 3 in a row. So here's just another data point. The next time you see another dynasty, if they ever get to 2 Super Bowls, put all your money on the other team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
MADDOX, that one's for you. And speaking of MADDOX, let's move right on into second period with MADDOX. What you got going on today?
I got a couple things. We'll start with markets. How about that?
Okay. Markets with MADDOX.
Yeah, we need to have little little ditties and jingles for the
One more time?
for the.
I do not want a little ditty. I do not want a little ditty.
All right, jingles, little jingles for the recurring segments. But anyway, I want to talk about this belief that's in the air regarding the Trump administration.
Okay.
So, Trump got elected and we saw a big rally in stocks after that. And what that's really a result of is this belief. And let's be clear, this is on both parties, right? This isn't a partisan belief. This is a consensus belief that, the Trump administration is going to be very pro-business and pro-economic growth, right?
Yep.
That's something that generally everyone would just associates with the Trump administration. And like I said, not just conservatives or people that voted for him. Like people that I've had people that are, explicitly did not vote for Trump and do not like Trump say to me like, well, at least it'll be good for the economy,
Right.
Like that's just a consensus belief. So what I want to go through and do is look at each of his proposed policies and from a very simple economic lens, not trying to overanalyze like the impacts of these things. Just like what is the expected short-term impact on economic growth and what is the impact on inflation, which are like the two major components of the economy and the things that people, the things that drive asset prices and the things that people experience.
Okay.
So I need some helpers. I need people to keep score.
I volunteer,
Okay.
Jerome.
What the hell?
All right. So
okay.
I need someone to. We're just gonna count these up. So we need good for economy scorekeeper and bad for economy scorekeeper.
Jerome's the good for economy scorekeeper. Jackson's the bad for economy scorekeeper.
This guy. Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead, Maddox.
So first proposed policy regarding tariffs. Okay. That's going to be a negative impact on growth in the short term. So that's one bad for economy.
Okay. Can you briefly tell me? Well, no, we've talked about it before. Okay, I'm with you. Negative in the short term.
Yeah. So, who's keeping score? Jackson, we need you to keep score. Okay.
I was okay. I didn't know you wanted me to do it in your face.
We need it. No, we need to keep it on our hands so we can see it.
Can we also just briefly Jared shows up once every 6 recordings and then he doesn't want to do anything? This is crazy.
Yeah, that's true.
Crazy.
You need to be good for economy.
You already talked about the Super Bowl. You might
need
as well
to
go.
bear that responsibility for the.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was going to say I'm good at delegation. Continue.
All right. So again, tariffs, short term, good, and we're talking about short term because short term what markets care about, right?
Okay.
The markets don't care about what the 10-year impact is on this stuff. So tariffs, negative on growth, and inflationary. So, which is also that's a bad thing. So, Jackson, that's 2 points toward bad for economy. Does that make sense? Bad for growth and increases inflation. Those are both bad things, right?
And in this case, a double negative does not cancel each other out.
So you said it's a double whammy. It's bad for both.
Right.
So it's extra bad.
Yes. So
Okay.
Next one, tax reforms. That's going to be positive for growth. So that's good for economy. So Jared, point there. And but it's going to be inflationary. So that's bad for economy. The immigration policies. You send a bunch of people back home and you don't let new people in. That's going to be it's going to be negative for growth, and it's going to be positive for inflation, as in it increases inflation.
Can I have an explanation for why it's positive for inflation?
You have labor shortages, so that pushes wages higher and therefore pushes prices higher. Any pressure on wages is inflationary.
Wait, sorry. So were you saying it was a good thing for inflation or a bad thing for inflation? Meaning like inflation's going to go up or inflation's going to go down?
Inflation, it's inflationary. Inflation goes up. So
Oh,
for
so
economy.
we're 5-1.
That's what I was trying to clarify.
Okay.
The Doge policies, reduction of the federal workforce, that's going to be a negative impact on growth because you are basically just, that's money that was people's income and that income was getting spent, and now that's just, a big cut in government spending, which is going to be negative for growth, but it's going to be deflationary. So it's a good for economy on the inflation side.
So you're telling me the largest organization in the U.S. that employs people cutting jobs is a bad thing? Damn.
And then, is there any other policies that you guys had in mind? I was just going to say, like, the general more protectivist, like, trade policy stance, like, and the tariffs is like the explicit like version of that, but just in general, being more, less trade oriented and more, focused on national production. In the short term, that's going to be negative on growth, and it's also going to be inflationary.
What about I guess maybe this encompasses what you just said, but like the energy stuff, like drilling and producing more energy.
Yes, I also had that on here. I forgot to go over that. So the deregulation of the energy sector, that is going to be a positive thing for growth, and it's also going to be deflationary. So that's actually
double positive.
Both good.
From a financial side.
From just an economic lens, like through
macroeconomic perspective.
Macroeconomic perspective.
Not from the Arctic hare perspective, but from the average American.
Well,
what about the Gulf of America? What's the impact of that?
That's
drill.
That's double good for sure. No, I don't know that has macroeconomic relevance.
Quick question on the energy piece. I think Jackson might have mentioned this on the last episode, but oil, for example, oil prices are mainly regulated by OPEC, not necessarily. So like, increasing production here doesn't necessarily affect prices. Is that potentially true? False? How does that affect the positive?
Absolutely
negative
true, but the point of this activity was to not, like I said, just like
looking at okay,
just the simplest form of, obviously there's a lot more nuance in all of this stuff, but just like purely from a, if this, then this is expected. But yeah, like you wouldn't a deregulated energy sector, is gonna, in theory, would have a push prices of oil down, and that's gonna be like just oil as being such a input to our economy. That's going to be good for growth, and it's also going to be a reduction in inflation.
Okay, I gotta show the screen for all of us right now. These two are playing like, what's it called? Like taps.
The fingers game.
Yeah, the finger taps game, like via video chat. Okay, so that's the consensus here: 4 good, 8 bad.
Yeah. So my point here is there is this belief across the majority of the population that Trump being in office is going to be good for growth, good for the economy, good for business, and market prices reflect that because people's assumptions about how the world is going to look in the future is reflected in how they're positioning in their investments. And if you just look at it from just a very like rudimentary, like, and not to say rudimentary is like not a good way to think about it. Like you're literally just you should like cause effect. Like this is just cause effect, like simple thinking about it. Like the overwhelming expected impact on the economy is negative from these policies. So what kind of opportunity does that create? That's the kind of things that I see opportunities in markets to make money where there's something being reflected in an asset price and then a reality that does not seem like it lines up with the pricing of that asset. And then also just in general, Trump being in office, you just have a heightened level of uncertainty about what's he going to do, what executive orders is he going to throw out there, like what kind of mood is he in, what's he going to say. You have the heightened risk of just like trade conflicts, like capital wars. So, with heightened geopolitical tensions, people just pulling money out of the U.S. because they don't want to. My point here is these are not like from just a market's perspective. These are like not really good things for the market. For asset prices, particularly when you have stock prices that are literally at all-time highs still.
Right.
And are reflecting very expensive valuations. So yeah, just a posing an alternative viewpoint on the seemingly consensus view that Trump is going to be Trump being in office is going to be pro-business, pro-economy.
And this is why you shouldn't vote for him this November. Oh wait, am I too late on that?
Well,
yeah,
a little
we missed
late.
the boat on that.
We missed that one. Unfortunate.
Well, but that's not the point, though. The point is, how can MADDOX make money off of this? That's the main point.
Mm-hmm.
By shorting the markets.
Allegedly.
Not allegedly.
Also, not sponsored advice, not
financial
Yeah,
advice.
there you go. Not
Yeah,
financial
yeah, there you
advice.
go.
That's what you meant to say, Jared.
Yeah. Am I obligated to keep these four up for the rest of the show?
No.
Yeah,
I
for the rest of the show.
Anyone have any thoughts on that segment? I can move into the next one.
I like that segment. Just generally speaking, like taking these kind of broad, complex ideas and breaking them down into the most simplistic way of, good or bad. I like that. We should do more of that.
And I'll address I think what it might be an audience criticism is like, oh well, these things aren't weighted equally. That's true, but it's hard to weight them equally, and also like breaking it down into simpler terms is oftentimes going to give you a better solution than trying to come up with an overcomplicated model. So that's from my experience, not in finance, but in other areas.
Well, I think it holds true in the markets too. It's like, yeah, you could get really, and here's the other thing. Like he's implemented some of this stuff to some extent or whatever, but like most of this is just like rhetoric. This is just like the stuff that he has said that he might do. So we don't actually know what he is going to do, to the extent that he's going to do it. Like there's so much uncertainty here, but like you said, it almost helps to just think about it from this like simple just perspective. Like, hey, everyone just is thinking it's going to be good, but if you just simply look at it, the logic rooted in these policies, like it doesn't seem like none of this seems great for the economy. So they're just like there's a mismatch, and it doesn't need to get more like it's pretty simple, like it doesn't need to be more rigorous than that, really.
And thank God presidents don't lie.
I think that's illegal for a president to lie.
I think it is too. Yeah.
Anyway, I'll get into my next segment. This isn't a recurring segment, but it feels like it could be, where Jackson criticizes us about something, and he is dismissive about something, and then I have to go in and try to correct the record.
What did I do this time? Because there's too many things that I can't count.
We're bringing chiropractors back up.
No, I think we're out of chiropractors. For the meantime, we might get back into chiropractors.
Okay.
But Jackson is on the record for saying that the purchase of my new car, well, technically the three of us have all purchased a new car in the past 12-ish months.
Yeah.
And the three of us other than Jackson. But he's on the record because I texted him and made him say it explicitly, saying that the purchase of these vehicles were a poor financial decision. Is that accurate, Jackson?
Wait,
yes,
all
not
of
just
them?
yours, all of them.
All of them.
all of them are poor
Well, I don't know
financial
what Jared's car
decisions.
is, but definitely MADDOX's and Jerome's because I've seen their cars.
Jared's is a
Jared's
Subaru
might have been
WRX.
Jared's might have been more than ours were.
Well, then Jared, I don't know what you were trying to dodge that for.
How much is your car?
It was like 32,000.
All right,
They're all in the same ballpark ish.
And Jared, what year was yours?
2023.
But it was like new. It was new. Was it new when you bought it?
Mhm.
Okay, so we all bought new cars.
Brand new cars.
You bought yours 23. I bought mine 24. Jerome bought his 25. Or in 24, but his is a 25.
Yeah.
So in the past 3 years, we've all bought a new car of that year. Which I think, Jackson, your point is that's just generally a poor personal finance decision.
Yes, without thinking too hard about it. That's my opinion.
Well, we're gonna think hard about it. Okay.
Yeah, I like this.
So I'm gonna personally try to defend the purchase of my car. You guys can piggyback off me or formulate your own arguments later if you want.
But, let's team up on Jackson.
So here are all, and I bought my car in April of 2024. So I've had it a little over 8 months. This is a list of all the things that this car has done for me. What?
10 months.
Well, over 10 months.
It's okay. Keep going.
Okay.
Your upcoming math does not bode well for that 8 to 10 month conversion, but go ahead.
Well, I don't understand saying a little over, like, April's the 4th month. Like, it's the beginning of this year. Like, why is saying a little over 8 months? Why is that inaccurate?
It's not the beginning.
Okay, but I didn't get it at the beginning of April. I got it, like, midway through April.
Okay,
and, like,
we'll say
midway through
months.
this.
8 to 9 months.
So I'm pretty much right. Okay, thanks. So it gets me from point A to point B, as any car does, whether it be new or used. It being a new car gives me... Oh, we're counting this too?
We got our scorekeepers.
It being A to B, 1.
It being a new car gives me peace of mind because I don't have to worry about it breaking down. It being a new car saves me money on maintenance because I don't have, that's a trade-off you make when you have an older vehicle, is perhaps increased maintenance costs. This particular car is very, very easy to work on. So I can save money by doing the maintenance myself because I don't need specialized tools or expertise or anything. This is, as a realtor, this is my business vehicle. So
what? So do you get to, like, expense it?
Yeah,
to an extent.
I can deduct the expenses associated with the miles that I drove for business purposes.
Game changer.
Whether this ought to be true or not, I believe this is a true thing that exists in society, whether it should or not. But I think that people associate having a nice newer car helps establish, like, brand identity for being like a self-employed person. I mean, I've had clients, like, explicitly say, like, they expect that good realtors drive nice cars. Like, so whether that be true, whether people should think like that or not, people do think like that, is the point I'm making. So it helps establish, like, a brand identity for being a realtor and for my new rental car business. I mean, I have starting a rental car business. I think it makes sense to have, like, own a unique car. For real estate purposes, it's convenient for meeting with clients because it's a car that stands out, and they can, when you get into these situations where you're meeting people at random properties, it can get, it helps when they know that I am there because they can see my car there. Sometimes there's confusion of, are the owners still in the house, or, like, who's here, who's there. I know these things are things that probably do not matter to you guys, but these actually are very important things that, like,
I lumped it all in one category.
Okay. It's required me to learn a new skill to drive a manual transmission, which, Jackson, I think you can appreciate as someone that strives to teach yourself new languages and stuff like that. I think at our age, it is good to challenge ourselves by having to learn new things. Particularly like coordination type things, like, that's a good thing. It has converted a routine, mundane task that I have to spend a lot of time doing, which is driving around places to show properties or just driving in general, to something that I am excited about and enjoy doing. So it's like the quality of life improvement there is massive. It's created a new hobby for me, whether it be like, exploring cool roads in this area or in another area, or going to the track, which I have on the schedule I haven't done yet, but I have on the schedule. Created a new hobby. Also think that's just like a positive thing to have at our age. It served as like a source of bonding between my family members, like my brother, my dad, who like cars, my friends, like those on these podcasts that are car enthusiasts, and then just the general car enthusiast community.
One person on this podcast who literally bought their car because you bought your car.
Right. See, we're bonding. It has allowed me to own a piece of car history because my car is a limited edition with a heritage that is a 40-year celebration of a very cool piece of car history that means a lot to me. And this one's a bit of a stretch, but well, all of these might be a bit of a stretch, but this particular car being, if you can account for the trim level, the color, and the transmission, it's a 1 out of 215 vehicle in the US. So out of all the new cars you could buy, this one had a very scarce supply. So there's a not that there's an expectation that it's going to appreciate, but it has a margin of safety in terms of holding its value. So yeah, there's my.
I would like to piggyback on your final point.
Okay.
Because that's the only argument that I have. So I purchased the 2025 version of MADDOX's car, also the limited edition model. I don't know that they've ever made MADDOX's car before, but mine they did make prior. Like this model, it's called the Hakone edition. The last time they made this car was in 2020. The MSRP at the time was $30,000, and currently you can find Hakone edition, 2020 Hakone editions, anywhere between $22,000 and $28,000. Let's just average that to say $25,000. That means you're losing $1,000 in depreciation every year, which the average car, that's like $30,000. The average car supposedly loses 20% in the first year. For a $30,000 car, that's $6,000, and this is depreciated less than that in 5 years because they're limited. So retains value very well.
My point here is I think I've made an investment. I don't think I've made a poor financial decision at all. Have I convinced you, Jackson, or do you disagree?
Well, I mean, I can go through your points one by one and just give my thoughts on them.
Do you want me to go? You want me to read them out again?
No, I have them written down. I have them written down.
You committed them all to memory. Golly! All right.
Yeah, gets you from point A to B. I mean, that's not really a point for your car because your old car did that too. So it's not really anything. I will say that I think the peace of mind, the lower maintenance cost of the new car because it's newer, is actually probably the best argument for getting a new car, because maintenance for older vehicles is quite high, especially for more expensive vehicles. So I'll take your word that your vehicle is easier to maintain for by you personally. So I'll give you that one. Let's see. Oh, as a business vehicle and like giving you a brand identity, that's pretty unique to you. If you think it adds something along the lines of like tens of thousands of dollars of value to yourself, then you can talk about this being worth it. But
I'll say this. I don't know that I have created any new client relationships from... I have created new relationships from owning this car. People that come up and talk to me, and maybe I give them my business card that I otherwise would not have met those people if it had not been for this car. Have I procured any transactions that I've made money off of from that yet. No, I have not. Could I in the future? Potentially. But I have had existing client relationships that have been strengthened from the car, from them also being car enthusiasts or appreciating the car. Just when you're out showing them a house, when you have more stuff to talk about, like, it just helps to strengthen relationships.
So when I break down cost benefit, especially when it's something related to something finite like money, I like to think in numbers. I just think that makes it it makes it, because I like to justify it with an actual
quantifiable
answer.
There's a lot of intangibles here that I've listed.
Yeah,
I know. And so we have to come up with the $30,000 from all of these options. I think that's one where it's hard to give a quantifiable number for me, but maybe you have an idea about it. If you think it adds value to yourself, that's good, I think. Okay, the next point was learning new things, learning how to drive a stick shift, or helping you get better at driving a stick shift. Well, I have an example of a car that will also help you learn how to drive stick shift.
Don't say
the
it.
1992 Honda Accord, which I believe you can find used for $1,000, a 97% savings on a car purchase. Why didn't you buy one of those, Maddox?
That's a great point. That was a great point.
So that's a ridiculous point. As a hobby, I mean, I don't know. I like pirating movies and watching those. That only requires me to have an internet connection, which is like $50 a month. So,
oh god,
we all have hobbies, but some are cheaper than others. And limited edition, okay, Jerome, you actually gave some quantifiable numbers, which I appreciate. Your vehicle's depreciating less than the average vehicle.
Yep.
But it's still depreciating, and it also has a high input value.
I will
$30,000.
I will say, this was not relevant to MADDOX, I don't think, but for me, saying that it has a low depreciation relative to MSRP is kind of a moot point, because I had to pay substantially above MSRP to get my car. So
that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
So, you give good arguments, Maddox. I think some of them, like I said, I kind of operate when it comes to finances. I try to remove, and I know you've criticized me for this in the past, I try to remove personal satisfaction from it as much as I can, or I try to think about it less than most people would.
Well, this is kind of why I thought this would be a cool discussion, because I don't know, there is this dynamic where you're right, and when you get you have your personal finance suggestions, or
generally make sense for a broad group of people.
They make sense. They're prudent, right? But I don't know. I feel like when you get more into the nuance of things that bring me affect my quality of life, that aren't financially, or don't have to actually do with the monetary part of it, you can come to different conclusions. And I think there's a deeper question where it's maybe these things, well, it's so for you probably don't care about these things, you probably don't have about having a new car related hobby, or the brand identity stuff or whatever. And it's there's a deeper question, should I not care about these things? Is that what's wrong? It's not that it's a bad financial decision, but that I should just not care about these things. Do you see what I'm saying?
Let me give an example that I just thought of. So a way to approach this could be, maybe it's not that having a hobby is worthless, because I think it is worth something. However, I think that you can look for ways to enjoy the things you enjoy, and also spend less money on them. Not spend no money, but spend less money. I'll give you an example. I'm a big pickleball player. I've mentioned this a few times before. And I've spent I probably spent about between $1,000 and $2,000 on pickleball last
Wow.
year. But I might be a little off on that, but it's probably something like that. But let me give you a counterpoint. I probably know some people who spent like $3,000 or $4,000 on pickleball. There are some people I know are like members of private clubs and they pay like over $100 a month for a membership. I don't do that. I play in the parks. I play in the cold in winter when I can. So a lot of people will like pay to play inside. A lot of people will buy like 5 or 6 paddles a year. I buy like 2 or 3.
How many of those are for personal pleasure as opposed to playing pickleball?
I'm not gonna entertain that.
Okay,
question, Jerome.
My fault.
But what I'm saying is, though, that I think having a hobby and trying to achieve personal satisfaction and using money to do that is fine. I just think that sometimes you can get away with spending less than what you might spend. Also, don't you find saving money? I find saving money personally like so exhilarating. Like whenever I go to shopping at the grocery store and I see a deal and I'm like, oh yes, give me that deal.
I'm with you on that. Like, but I think that's like the thing here that I'm like trying to explore, because it's like, just face value, this decision, buying a new car, bad financial decision, right? But like, if you consider all these other things that I value, then maybe there's an argument for it. I personally think the grocery store example is like, I get a lot of joy out of like solving the optimization problem of purchasing groceries. Like, what is the minimum cost grocery store, the minimum cost I can achieve at the grocery store while also like maximizing like the quality of all of the products, or maximizing the quality where it matters. And I think
that's a good approach.
I think most people are really, really bad at that. I don't even think most people even like, some people will just go to a grocery store and they don't think about, is this even like the most cost efficient grocery store? I mean, there's big discrepancies in grocery store prices, contrary to what most people might think. Like you can go to Aldi and get your groceries for probably like 66% less than what you would get at like Publix or something. But maybe there's a quality discussion there. But anyway, I don't think most people put much. And also there's with like the getting groceries delivered and stuff like that. Now you're just like getting into, I'm not even thinking about money at all. Like,
yeah.
I'm just, but also, sometimes maybe the convenience is worth it, but I don't know. Sorry, this segment's gone on long, but I don't know. I feel like there could be a recurring segment here of sorts.
What are the
Jackson criticizes the gang?
This should really be my segment, but
I feel like it's more so, are there intangible things that people can value that are contrary to popular finance takes? We can workshop the name.
Yeah, we shall.
That was so long of a name.
We can workshop the name. Anyway, moving right on into third period with Professor Jackson. What do you got going on this week, Jackson?
All right, so today I would like to talk about sports betting and gambling in general. So I watched a video recently that was put out by a YouTuber named Extranet Shaquille. And the topic of the video was on sports betting and what people get wrong about gambling and sports betting in general. And so it's a pretty short video. I think it's under 15 minutes. I'll just summarize it briefly. This guy, Extranet Shaquille, he argues that most people who are sports betting don't understand the value of expected value, or EV, which is how much money is this bet going to make on average. And they are making bets that are negative expected value, so they are losing money in the long run. And he also points out some pretty simple ways to make bets that will both make you money in the short term and in the long term, and will also get you banned in the long term. So
Yeah.
it's pretty funny video. For example, one thing he describes is if there are like let's say there are like 10 different sports books apps, and what they'll do often to get you to sign up for them is they'll give you like free money to bet with.
Mhm.
And so what you can do is if you sign up for 2 different sports books or betting books or whatever, you can place opposite bets. So you can bet on one game and you can bet on both teams to win, for example. And then you're going to just make a certain number of real dollars for doing nothing. And that's like an easy way to make money. So I don't want to say that's a financial advice, but look into that at home if you want to make some quick money. Although not endorsed, by the way.
This is I know a fair amount of this about this, not because I do it myself, but I know somebody that does this. But yeah, it's not like a way to make, like, basically you're hedging your bet, right? So no matter what the outcome, you're going to make money because you're utilizing these like promotions that that the sports books are offering you. So it's like a way to make like get consistent guaranteed money, but not without, risking your money. But also it's not like, since you're hedged, you're not going to make like a ton of money like on some crazy bet, right?
And since it's limited volume, it's not high dollar amounts. It's like pretty minimal gains.
Yeah, and actually
it's capped.
The interesting thing that he was talking about was, I guess these promotions and stuff, they calculate some metric called, like, was it CVL? Was that the acronym he used? Something like that. But essentially it's like a metric they use to say, like, oh, was this individual able to buy, a bet at a cheaper value than most people? And if the answer is yes, that's like a ding against you. And then when you rack up enough dings, they basically just like cap your maximum bet. So he was saying over the course of however long he's been doing this, he's now been dinged so many times by all the different sports books that his maximum allowed bet is like $8 on one, $4 on another
per month.
So so it's like it's gotten to the point where he can't even be profitable on it anymore because he just can't make any bets more than $8, per month.
The primary strategy that using the sign up promotions was one strategy, but the primary promotion or strategy he used was finding bets on certain in certain sports books that were very skewed from what the actual expected value was. So, for example, he gave an example of like a Division II Illinois college basketball game where he was getting plus 3,400 betting on one of the teams when all of the other sports books had that at like plus 150. So like,
right,
basically
arbitrage.
Like it was like 2 to 1, but there was one giving like 34 to 1
34 to 1. Yeah.
Yes.
This well, I know that there's hedge funds that are like coming up that are like doing this type of thing at scale.
With sports betting?
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, like essentially I think that's the type of thing that the sports book has calculated the odds, and if you can find opportunities where the odds are mispriced either by mistake or because there just happen to be different on one book than another book or something, it's like those are, and you can do that at scale. Like, I guess there's a way to make consistent money doing this.
He actually said that there's like software out there that you can just buy for like $75 a month or whatever, and they will do the digging for you and essentially just send you a notification when there's a mismatch between books or whatever, So
it's kind of like the discounted flights software. Have you used this? Yeah,
exactly. And so that it takes the guesswork out of it, and just as long as you're in front of a computer and you have access to good internet and you can take advantage of the mismatch before it gets corrected, it's like a guaranteed quote unquote free bet every time.
Well, it's a high EV bet.
Right.
I wouldn't call it free. Like, you can still lose. It's just high expected value.
That is fair. Yeah.
And that's kind of that gets to sort of the main point, the underlying point of his video, which was that if you don't understand these concepts of expected value and sort of
pricing,
odds and pricing, that you shouldn't be gambling like in general. And I don't know about you guys, I know several people who are into sports betting, and I don't know, they all talk themselves up and they're like, oh yeah, I'm good at this, I know what I'm doing. But in reality, it's like a losing it's a losing game in the long run. And if it's a winning game for you, probably the sports books would not be letting you bet on them.
Yeah, it's like the game is set up to be negative EV. If you find a positive EV opportunity, you get shut out. So it's like you are going to lose money at this game. Yeah. The way the sports books are like responding to this is, it just reminds me of like if you get caught counting cards in the casino and like the bouncers take you out to the alleyway and just beat the crap out of you.
Exactly. I mean, to your point, Jackson, it is set up for you to lose. Otherwise, these sports books wouldn't be in business, right?
Yeah.
They got to make their money.
I don't know. I saw a lot of the comments under the video just basically calling the deregulation of sports betting that has happened in the United States in the last 10 years, like kind of a disservice to the people, I mean, because casinos are basically scams. I think sports betting, and then I think poker, and then I can't think of another example. Those are like the only gambling games where you can use skill to gain an advantage, like a significant advantage, not just like 1 or 2%.
You said sports betting is?
Yes, like
if the sports books allow you to play without changing the rules on you.
Right. Yeah. So that's just, I mean, and then he also mentioned briefly about how for a lot of young men, 20s, 30s, like sports betting might be something you do when you feel like frustration in life, and it can really ruin lives, like gambling. I mean, it's like kind of a very old idea that gambling ruins people's lives, but when you're like just not emotionally mature and you have like not good financial stability for the future, sports betting, gambling can be bad for you in the long run.
So here's a deeper philosophical question. I don't know where I sit on this still, but like, so obviously gambling, gambling addiction, it's like a serious thing. It can ruin people's lives. Should the government regulate that kind of stuff though? Or should, as a free country, you should be able to go and, play this negative EV game at your own, discretion.
What would that regulation look like? Are you saying like outright banning it, or?
I guess just at the start, like at all. I mean, I guess we could see, similar to like alcohol, or, like there's an age restriction that seems to be like pretty prudent, or like I feel like that would be pretty agreeable. But yeah, I don't know. Like, should the government be allowed to ban stuff like this completely?
Let's just add an IQ restriction. IQ got to be above a certain amount.
But it's negative EV. Like we've already said that. Like even if you're smart, you're supposed to lose.
It is just people, taking advantage, right? Or not even people. These companies are set up in a way to take advantage of you. I don't know.
Yeah, and then the other side is like, I guess kind of as Jackson is saying, like most people don't understand that, or they just are hoping for a chance to like just defy. There's all these behavioral justifications for, well, I'll just play until I'm up, and then I'll stop, or whatever, like.
And people are just depressed, so they want some sort of quick victory, I guess.
I mean, whatever answer you fall with this applies directly to slots. or craps, or like, so I mean, if you say that like I'm not necessarily defending it, but if you're saying that like sports gambling should be something that the federal, let's just call it federal government, has the right to be able to just completely shut down, which I mean, clearly it does. Sports gambling wasn't legal across certain states before. You know, I don't even know when, but it wasn't
Still not.
popularized
Still
in
not
some states,
everywhere, right? Yeah.
So, I mean, if you say that, then like certain games in casinos shouldn't exist either because they're just consistently negative EV. If your argument is that sports betting leads to more like negative EV bets, then it has to be applied across the board. I would rather almost see the federal government step in and say that sports gambling websites can't set a limit on you. Like I would almost rather the sport, like them point back to the sports books and say, you get your act together.
Yeah.
If you don't want people taking advantage of this, then
Right.
you need to stop messing up, giving up plus 3,400 odds on a 150 type game. If somebody takes advantage of that, that's just smart money.
Yep.
That's actually interesting. Like, what if they could regulate the casinos and the sports books to like the odds have to be closer to fair odds. You know, they can only I mean
at that point, why not just have the government run the casinos?
Give it back to the Native Americans.
But I don't know. It's always hard because I'm like, it seems like I don't know. It obviously is, yeah, this thing's bad for people. Like, just get rid of it. But then it's like, what else do we ban? Do we ban fast food because it's bad for people? Like, you know.
Wow. What an incredible segue there.
I got you, brother. I got you.
Because I'm going to move on into fourth period on that one because I want to talk about my favorite fast food restaurant, McDonald's. I talk about this often. I absolutely love McDonald's. I was very let down when I tried their chicken sandwich, and it was the worst of the 5 chicken sandwiches that I tried or whatever in the video that I made back in the day.
Go watch that video.
YouTube.com/JeromeVaz. But no, I want to talk about McDonald's because McDonald's just very recently missed their mark. Q4 revenues, $6.4 billion, down 0.3% from last year. U.S. sales specifically down 1.4% from last year. The biggest sales decline in the U.S. in nearly 5 years for McDonald's. Last year, they were up 4.3% in the U.S. So, think of the downward trend in the growth there. Adjusted EPS misses. It was down 12 cents per share from last year's, and I think it missed by like 1 cent or so from expectations. But I don't really care about this stuff. I want to talk more generally about why is fast food like doing poorly in the U.S. What are your guys' ideas?
Well, going back just one point, when you say in the last 5 years, so you're basically saying since COVID?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I wonder. So, what are we saying there? That means every year over year, since COVID, year over year, McDonald's has been doing better until this year, where pretty sharp decline in the U.S. Any thoughts?
Hate to be this guy that might kill this segment just from the beginning.
Go ahead.
Do we have a historical trend? Like, was McDonald's at this level, then COVID hit, and then they've been increasing back to the same pre-COVID level, or is this a genuine decline above already established historical growth rates?
I think it's just saying they have declined year over year, and the fact that they are going down for the first year since COVID is the biggest decline in the last 5 years. I don't know what their pre-COVID numbers look like, but presumably they were doing better before COVID. They would have had a sharp drop during COVID. Now they've like grown back to maybe pre-COVID levels, but then the question is, why'd they drop again, right?
Is there? Do you know the answer? Is there a right answer, or are we just all speculating here?
No, just what do you think?
Maybe it's just not that good, or maybe people are taking more of a interest in their health all of a sudden.
That can't possibly be true.
I actually think the health thing is probably a thing. Like the one thing that I saw on the internet was like the Ozempic kick recently. Like, so maybe, I mean, obviously Ozempic isn't necessarily like a healthy way to lose weight, but
That's what you take while you want to still eat McDonald's, actually.
Well, yeah, okay, fair.
But you
I
can't
think,
eat as much. You have to eat less.
exactly. That's why they have the 4-count nuggets now instead of the 6-count nuggets, you know? No, but here's what I genuinely think. I think it's twofold. I think one, fast food is no longer cheap because that, that's what we wanted to. That was the reason you used to go to McDonald's in high school, right? It's cheap as hell and it's consistent. Fast food's no longer cheap, and I think the rise of the fast casual restaurant. Think Chipotle. Think Cava. Think I don't know, Qdoba. Those types of restaurants that give you that more healthy feeling, but are about the same price. How do you guys feel when I say that? Is it fair to compare Chipotle and McDonald's to being approximately the same price?
What is Chipotle's growth over the last 5 years?
I don't know. They're probably down a lot. Well, their stock price is down because the CEO left or whatever, right, to go to Starbucks.
Well, what is Qdoba over the last 5 years?
I don't know, but just I don't know. I don't know these things, Jared.
Yeah,
Jared hasn't been on it so long. He forgot that we don't fact check things. And
right.
That's literally part of our intro.
I'll just go back to mute. That's okay. I'll talk to you guys in 5 minutes.
My question was just: is it fair to say that Chipotle and McDonald's are the same price?
I don't know. I mean, I haven't looked at the menu prices and compared them. It would kind of surprise me, but I mean, I could see them being within a few dollars, like a similar sized meal being within a few dollars of each.
Yeah.
But I would still think Chipotle is more expensive, but I don't know for sure.
Well, I'm glad that you said that, Maddox, because I brought the numbers. And
After we just toasted Jared for trying to ask for numbers.
Well, okay. Of specific menu item prices, right? I asked each of you guys to give me your go-to McDonald's order before this episode, and I looked up the prices, right? So I'll start with Jackson because he was the easiest. He apparently has never ordered at McDonald's, and the only thing he ever orders is an ice cream cone. So an ice cream cone, including tax costs, costs $2.75. I do know for a fact back in the day when we were high school, they used to be $1. So just saying. I agree with you. $2.75 for one single ice cream cone. Pickup, by the way, not delivery. Pickup. $2.75. Let's go to Maddox next. Maddox, your go-to order is a McDouble, McChicken, large fries, chicken nuggets. I will say there is currently, when you look on the app, if you order off of the value menu, which a McDouble and a McChicken are both on the value menu, when you order 2 items, the second item becomes $1. I'm just explaining this to how you get to the price.
Do you have cheat codes built in?
Yes, sir. So your order, $12.79. Okay. Jared, go to a large value meal is what I put in because you said you got a McDouble, large fries, large sweet tea, and then a second McDouble.
Yeah, 2 McDoubles.
Yeah.
Large fry, 2 apple pies,
yes,
and a large sweet tea. Thank you very much. And that was post-baseball tournament.
Unfortunately for you, Jared, when you ordered the McDouble meal, the second McDouble does not become $1. So you're paying the full $3.50 for that second McDouble.
What?
Yeah.
Why did I get a meal?
Well, because if you didn't do the meal, it'd be even more expensive.
We're going to fact check the math after this, but continue.
So your order is $14.81. Okay. Yeah, kind of crazy, right? So my go-to order used to be a double quarter pounder with cheese, $6.99, medium fries, $3.39, 6 McNuggets, $3.59, for a total of $14.81. I will say, and honestly, I knew that was expensive. $14.81 for McDonald's is insane. I have now, my new order recently is the value menu, the double cheeseburger for $3.50. Add a second double cheeseburger or a McDouble for $1. There's a secret app-only offer. Once a day, you can get any size fries for $1.29. So get the large fries for $1.29. For a total of $6.13. That's a value meal, if I have to say.
I'm sorry. Why is what you're describing not what you could have done for me?
Because I don't get the drink. Oh, actually, no. You're absolutely right. You could do this for you. I was just, giving the mic drop moment of 1481. Anyway,
Okay, I'll go back on mute.
Here's where it gets worse, right? If you do delivery on the McDonald's app, their partner is DoorDash. Here's where it gets really stupid. You know how we always have this theory, not even a theory, we know that they increase menu price items, right? When you do delivery on Uber Eats and whatnot. They do it in the McDonald's app. So a double quarter pounder with cheese, $6.99 if you pick it up in the store, $7.99 if you order it for delivery. Medium fries, $3.39 if you get it in the store, $4.39 if you get it on the app. 6-count chicken McNuggets, same thing, $1 more. So the subtotal $17.07. Delivery fee $3, service fee $2, tax $1. Then you got to tip the guy. The recommended was $3, $26.13 for the same meal that I described. My double quarter pounder with cheese meal. Almost $12 more than if you pick it up in the store, right? I did the comparison with Chipotle. Chicken, rice, beans, guac, which costs extra, lettuce, pico, hot sauce. So my comparable meal at McDonald's, $14.81. The comparable meal at Chipotle, $13.67. And if you get it delivery through the Chipotle app, $20.59, including their recommended tip. So I'm just saying, I think it is because, quote unquote, fast food is way too expensive now, and the fast casual restaurant is actually cheaper these days. And I rest my case. Thank you very much.
I mean, honestly, McDonald's versus Chipotle right there. Take the delivery out of it, because your McDonald's is like 400 feet from your apartment.
I agree. And it was that restaurant. Tell me why that restaurant that is literally 400 feet from my apartment is $26 for delivery. Crazy.
No, tell me why you're getting it delivered in the first place. So I'm not. The meal itself at McDonald's versus Chipotle, I did not know they were that close. That is actually, I would go with Chipotle every time if I knew they were the same.
I have some holes.
Okay.
Well, so with the McDonald's, like for Chipotle, you just did like a bowl, right?
Uh-huh.
But
Plus
like
guac.
McDonald's, you didn't just do like a combo meal. Like I feel like you should have just done like a combo meal for like each type thing. With McDonald's, is like we're picking out like our different little things, like add-ons, like.
That's fair.
I think you are just saying like, this is what I would order when I go here, and this is what I would order when I go here.
Right. And in terms of the quantity of food, they fill me up similar amounts.
Yeah, I mean the Chipotle is pretty like a whole bowl is like a lot of food.
It's a lot of food. Yeah. And a double quarter pounder, fries, and chicken McNuggets is also a lot of food for me.
I don't know if I buy into the theory though that people are substituting a healthier option because it's the same price. I don't think that's like. I don't know. I mean,
but were you surprised as to how expensive McDonald's actually is?
I mean, honestly, I just operate in like everything is ridiculously expensive these days, or like the price of everything has gone up and is going to continue to go up. Yeah. So it's like, why? Yeah. I mean, I've known that the value menu. I think the value menu is where I've noticed it the most, because it's like, like you could go to these fast food restaurants and like get things as for $1, like actually when we were in high school and stuff. And I think as soon as that just kind of went away, it was like I didn't even really look at what I was paying anymore.
Right. I think a McDouble back in the day used to be, when we were in high school, which is not that long ago, 10 years ago, was $1 or at most $2. $1. And now it being $3.50 is kind of crazy. 350% in 10 years. So anyway, that's been,
for context, we were in 10 years we were in high school. That's a long time ago, I think.
But 350% in 10 years, that's kind of crazy.
It's like a price of a car, except the other way.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's move on into our final segment for this episode, Recess, where we talk about the funniest and dumbest memes on the internet that came across our feeds, across Twitter, Reddit, etc. And let's wrap this segment up. I know we've gone long, but I'm just having such a great time with you guys. And it's been a long time since we put out an episode. And we're celebrating the launch of the new channel, you know? First thing I want to talk about, sports viewership. Jared was very convinced that the Super Bowl is the #1 watched single event in the world, with 133 million people tuning in this year at its peak during Kendrick Lamar's performance. And I was unconvinced, so I looked up the facts to prove Jared wrong. So we're going to play a little game. Top 7 most watched single events in sports. And
in sports.
I will tell you the Super Bowl, this year's Super Bowl was number 4, coming in at 133 million viewers. Okay?
This is global sporting events.
Global sporting events. Single
2024.
Single event.
In 2024.
Or next best year that I was able to get accurate-ish data for.
Oh,
wait,
so
ever? You're saying ever? Or when?
Call it recent history, within the last 2-3 years.
I got number 1.
Go ahead.
The World Cup,
Mhm.
2022, Qatar.
Absolutely correct. The FIFA World Cup, men's FIFA World Cup, coming in with a peak concurrent viewership of 1.5 billion people for the World Cup finals.
Are they like? Do they have a? Is this 1.5 million like streams, or like does it count how many people are in the room? I've always wondered that.
Yeah, and that's a
or
good
do
question.
they just have like an estimate for like?
That's a good question. I don't know. This was based off of broadcasting, so I tend to believe that means like televisions that were playing the game.
I mean, it's just crazy to think that if they weren't estimating some type of group viewership, like if it was 1.5 million actual broadcasts,
billion with a B,
like, and there could be like on average like 3 people per broadcast. That's almost like half the population.
Hey, a lot of people love soccer, man.
It's a lot of assumptions, Maddox.
I know I did
Scroll
make a
down
lot
with
of
the assumptions.
Okay.
All right. What else we got? There are 5 others left on this list. Think sports.
My nephew's
I'm gonna go
soccer game.
I'm gonna go something Cricket World Cup.
Ooh, yes, the Cricket World Cup finals coming in just under the Super Bowl at number 5 with 60 million concurrent viewers, which seemed kind of low to me, just considering that India has over 1 billion people. But
yeah, India.
But hey,
well, I don't know who was in the finals. I forget. I don't
it was
think
India
was in the
versus
finals.
Australia.
Oh, okay. Well, Australia's not really pulling their weight there.
I agree.
Okay, let's think
should I give you guys some hints?
Well, hold on. Let's think about this. Think sporting events that like China would watch, that India would watch, that like Pakistan, Indonesia.
You're actually going in the wrong direction. I will say.
It was a bait to make Jerome give us a hint.
All of these are very white. Yeah, very white sports.
Must be soccer.
I mean, you guys did say the men's World Cup.
Jared, do you know UEFA, or Maddox? Do you know UEFA? Is that
the Women's World Cup?
There you go. Number 2, the Women's World Cup. 1.12 billion concurrent viewers for the final.
I guess that makes sense. Who was in the Women's World Cup? Was China in the Women's World Cup?
No. I actually don't know. I think it was Spain versus somebody.
It was Spain. They won. Yeah. I remember.
Yeah.
Oh, also, are we talking about like the World Cup final?
Correct. The single match, just the final.
Okay.
If you include the entire tournament, the men's tournament was 5 billion people watched. The Tour de France was up there, 3.5 billion people watched over 3 weeks apparently. So yeah, this is just the single final game. Jackson, you were on the right track with UEFA. The UEFA
final.
Correct. Number 3. So all the top 3 are soccer. 500 million people watched a UEFA Champions League final. And then
Jared, is
you're
any
missing
F1
2
event going to be up there, do you think?
Doubtful. Only one would be Monaco, but I doubt it, looking at Jerome shaking his head.
GP Monaco.
Think American sports.
I mean, the NBA Finals, one of them is going to be up there.
Number 7, NBA Finals, 17.8 million concurrent viewers. And last.
Okay, so more than the NBA Finals is going to be, what is it? I mean, like college football, Jared, do you think? Is it going to be
college football doesn't usually.
Hockey.
Jake Paul, Mike Tyson?
No, that's not on the... Actually, based on the numbers, should be on this list, but no, it's not. Jackson, it is a sport that you played.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with
the
the U.S. Open tennis.
It is, in fact, a Grand Slam. It is not the U.S. Open.
Wimbledon.
Correct. Wimbledon, number 6, 25.6 million viewers. And actually, someone brought up a good point about college football. I'd be shocked if the college football finals was not more than the NBA championship of 17.8 million.
It's not. It's usually people. You think this because you've been in such a college football heavy environment for the majority of your life, but college football actually holds a very small, relative to its NFL counterpart, a very small viewership. It's about a tenth or less of the viewership of like the Super Bowl. That's why the NFL can push college football around on any day that it wants to.
Interesting.
Okay, so especially Sunday.
My clarification, so I was wrong completely across the board on this. My clarification is that when I go back and look at things, if you just looked at like most watched events, usually I think it just brings up US. And it's just bringing up US broadcast. I don't know how they define broadcast or not, but like I pulled up Wikipedia in the background and looked at different broadcasts. And like the number one broadcast of all time in the US is the Apollo 11 moon landing.
Yeah.
So like that one shouldn't really surprise us. But
Makes
then
sense.
if you look at the rest of them, again, however they're defining broadcast, Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl.
I believe it. I believe it.
Yeah. So, and if you look at, like broadcast over the year in the US, it's like Super Bowl, AFC Championship, NFC Championship, Grammys, divisional round, divisional round, divisional round, divisional round,
right?
Oscars. So that's where my bias came from. Wrong bias, 100% across the board. It was wrong. But the NFL does make bank, and I will die on the hill that the NFL has a lot more influence than you might think it does.
Well, let's continue sports talk for 1 second. Jackson. Well, actually, let's just ask anyone and everyone. Luka Doncic leaving the Dallas. What are they? The Mavericks?
Mm-hmm. The Mavericks
to go to the Lakers. Thoughts, Jared? Did you have thoughts?
Hey man, I come back for 1 out of every 6 podcasts, and you just start dumping sports left and right. Like, this is amazing.
I know. Someone had to fill your spot while you were gone. You know.
Thank you. No, I honestly, I think there's a higher. I don't like negative conspiracies, but there's got to be something else that happened. You don't trade away arguably like the greatest scorer at his age.
Yeah.
In like the NBA. First of all, one of the greatest scorers in the NBA right now. Period.
Just period. Yeah.
Right. Then he's a 25-year-old superstar.
He's 25?
Yeah, he's only 25 years old.
Brother,
he came
his
into the league
face
when
looks like he's 43.
Well, he's not conditioned according to the Dallas Mavericks, but
they built them different in Eastern Europe.
Yeah, they do. But regardless, he's one of the like most untradeable assets in the league, up with like Nikola Jokic and Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah.
So you don't give him away for a failing Anthony Davis, who, by the way, already back on the IL, and a couple of like a worse player named Rudy Gobert got 4 first-round draft picks, and Luka Doncic, who's a generational player, gets 1.
Yeah.
There's got to be something.
He must have just wanted to go there. Like LeBron said, I want him, and the league said, okay.
No, it's not that.
He said that he didn't say that.
Nobody knew. LeBron GM did not know that the Lakers were trying to go for the trade. Nobody in Dallas outside of the GM basically knew that they were trying to trade Luka. Luka didn't know he was getting traded. Like, nobody knew what was going to happen until the trade broke. LeBron was at dinner with his family in like New York. So I think, I mean, if you're a Laker, like if you're a fan of the Lakers or in the Lakers organization, you're just laughing at the Dallas Mavericks at this point. And the conspiracy is that the Mavericks are trying to like tank the morale of their fan base by just not giving them like any level of like high level play so that they can move their team to Las Vegas. I don't know if I buy that or not, but them shipping Luka Doncic is just an all-time bad move that maybe it works out. There's no way it does. So this is just a bad move on their part.
The funny thing is Jackson sent me this little clip before the episode where it said, hilariously, Luka Doncic in his 1 game with the Lakers so far has tied LeBron James Jr. on the Lakers all-time scoring list with 14 points. He's done it in 1 game.
One game.
Bronny James Jr., who's been on the team for basically the whole season, 14 points.
Well, he's been back and forth, but yeah, the point is still hilarious.
He's taken a lot of shots.
Yeah, true.
Not a lot have gone in.
One final thing, also from Jackson. Are you guys familiar with the Reddit page Reddit r/Super Bowl?
I'm not going to do it.
Lots of funny memes here.
Refuse.
I'm going to share screen here so you guys can see. Can you guys see this?
Yes.
Look, r/Super Bowl.
Oh man,
I actually kind of like that.
That's very wholesome.
Superb owls.
owl.
Yeah. This subreddit, you wouldn't think it, but this subreddit about owls gets a lot of traction during the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I wonder why. I wonder why, Jackson.
Hey, it's a top 1% by size, though.
It is
Wait.
over 400,000 followers.
So,
Pretty good.
is there another Reddit for the Super Bowl? Or is that literally
we're gonna have to fact check that one. But that one, I mean, there's only one. Whoever has it gets to say what it's for.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
And the mods there say it's for owls, superb owls, actually.
That is so funny. I love that.
Well, on that note, thank you guys for watching this episode. As always, if you want to interact with us, the professors, make sure to join the classroom on Discord. And more importantly, make sure to subscribe to the brand new YouTube channel, youtube.com/@9degreespod. And you can watch the video version there too. We also have Instagram, TikTok, @9degreespod on everything, so make sure to check those out. Thank you guys again for watching the episode, and class is now dismissed.